Okay, I'm not going to talk about anything to begin with. We'll just see if something comes up, some subject that I need to elaborate on this time.
Can you talk about Thailand a little bit? About the bird flu over there that kills bird flu in Thailand that you've been looking at?
Well, there's nothing that I can talk about until my partners buy the land, so nothing to talk about that yet.
But you didn't see any evidence of bird flu?
Plane, hold on.
You didn't see any evidence of bird flu?
Oh, bird flu.
In Thailand?
It's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
I know, but...
There is no such thing, there's bird flu, but bird flu is a virus. Virus, you cannot communicate. Virus is a soap, they're not alive. Virus are protein bodies that cause the disassembling of structures. So, if your body cannot use bacteria or parasites or fungus to disassemble some particular structure of the body, cellular structure or other tissue structure, even fluid structure, then the cells themselves will manufacture a virus, a solvent, to break that down and disintegrate it. Now, the virus come into play when the body is too toxic. If the body is too toxic, let's say with mercury or lead, arsenic, could be even too high in sodium from salts or iodine. If the bacteria eat the degenerative tissue, parasites, bacteria, or fungus, it destroys those bodies. It destroys the bacteria, the fungus, or the parasite, so that they cannot maintain that a normal environment of being our janitors. So the body will make its own soaps, which are virus, to dissolve that tissue and to remove it from the system. That is the least desirable of any cleansing, but it still is a detoxification, a cleansing. So normally, a parasite will eat degenerative tissue or dead tissue, and they can eat 100 times their weight in 24 hours, and they'll excrete only about 1%, 1 to 5%. So it's like if we ate 100 pounds of food and had a 1 pound feces the next day, the body has very little to decontaminate. Instead of having 100%, it has 1% to decontaminate it with the help of the parasites. Bacteria, it can eat about 50 times its weight in 24 hours, and it excretes anywhere from 5 to 10%. So still the waste is incredibly reduced. If we ate 7 pounds of food in a day, we'd have about a pound excrement the next day. So if you compare us to parasites and bacteria, you see that the ratio of help of decontamination, of reducing the waste product, is pretty immense. So parasites are very favorable if you know how to take care of yourself. If you don't, and your body has to use the solvents, the virus to help you cleanse, the problem is just like if you go to use the solvent to clean the grease off of your carport or driveway or garage. What happens? You take a large amount of fluid, you put a degreaser down, and you mop it up, you clean it, and then what do you have remaining? You have about 2.5 gallons of toxic waste. The human body does the same thing. The body has to use a lot of fluids to utilize the virus properly, to break the tissue down, to dissolve it. And when it disassembles and makes it diluted like that, it contaminates the whole body. For example, if you look at spinal meningitis and cerebral meningitis, if it's bacterial, the doctors don't worry about it. If it's viral, the doctors panic about it because it causes tremendous swelling. and seizures and paralysis. So a virus passing from a bird to a human is an absurdity. Cells in your body make virus. You can make a human virus, you can't make a bird virus.
Then why did they, when they test it, why did they say it is the same virus?
Because it's a hoax. They're getting ready to sell a vaccine for $7 billion.
I realize that.
It's all about money.
But every country is a hoax.
No, you have to understand. I'm going to send an email in my next Primal Diet newsletter. I will show you the documentation where the FDA is putting an office in every country, because you have to understand that every country looks to the United States science as the most advanced and most respectable and authoritative. So these other countries aren't doing any tests. The Americans bring and it's those people who are showing up in Asia to do these tests are volunteers for the pharmaceutical industry. They have nothing to do with the health departments. The FDA's connections with the pharmaceutical industry go back 30 years. The last 11 heads of the FDA went on to be executives with a pharmaceutical company. The tie is immense. So it's all about selling a bird flu. You remember the swine flu in the 70s? They were blaming a swine flu, the pig flu.
Yeah.
Everybody was going to get it. President Ford went on and took the swine flu shot right on TV. Who was our vice president? Rockefeller. What does Rockefeller own? 5 pharmaceutical houses. We bought $7 billion of swine flu. Thankfully, here in San Diego, we had 2 people who were very interested and got the word out. Ida Honoroff, who was a consumer... Pardon?
I can't get your book. On me. The book.
You can't get their book anymore? That's a shame. Do you go on the internet and see if you can find somebody who has it? You might be able to find a copy here and there. Anyway, Ida Honoroff was a consumer advocate, and she was syndicated in about 180 major radio stations. And she talked about all the bad things and the good things for the consumer, whether it was food, and she predominantly went on food, but whether it was car industry products, no matter what it was. So she was a very well-respected woman. And Dr. McBean from San Diego, got together with Ida Honoroff, and they filed suit against the FDA, the Surgeon General, the President, and the Vice President about the swine flu, and said, you watch. You give this swine flu to people, and people are going to start dropping dead. So since Ida Honoroff had all that publicity, that syndicate, every newspaper listened to her. So they were right there in the administrative lines when the swine flu was being given. The first 2 weeks, 2,300 people died within 2.5 days of receiving the swine flu as a direct result of having the swine flu. They shut the whole program down, and guess who has $7 billion of swine flu in the vaults? That's right, we do. And we pay for the storage of it. Guess what's coming out as the avian flu, relabeled? The swine flu vaccine is being relabeled as avian, and we're going to pay $8 billion for it this time, because that's what Bush said he's going to do.
And you know that isn't going to use the swine flu? Or you just
No, I investigated the plants where said they were going to produce it. None of them could produce it in the time slot that they said they could. There's no way that, unless it was already a made substance, and the only flu vaccine in the vaults is that one. So that it has that quantity. So it's very obvious what they're going to do. They don't like paying, about probably $13 million a year to store that swine flu, taking up all that space. So they want to get rid of it.
So
they're not going to lose money by it.
So how is everybody going to get the avian flu, as they say? How is anybody going to get it removed?
They said everybody's going to get the swine flu. Nobody got it.
So if they do want us to do, they could spray it in the air, couldn't they?
You have to understand, a virus is not alive. It doesn't live. If they spray a solvent in the air, you're not going to breathe it. It's not going to hold up very well.
So they can't give it to us regardless?
If they inject it in you, yes.
But no other way?
Right. So, but I mean, if they make a virus, what they are doing is giving you, if they breed a virus in a bird, not breed it, if they cause a virus to be manufactured that was manufactured from a bird,
right,
you will have the avian flu because you're injecting it into. Just like if you get polio vaccine, you're getting polio from a monkey because they breed the polio virus, or they make the polio virus by infecting monkey tissue. Then they separate that, they sterilize it, purify it, mix thimerosal, which is liquid mercury, formaldehyde, and aluminum with it. Those are just three of the nasty contaminants. And they put that in there and they inject it in you. So yes, you can get a flu, but it has to be injected in you. That's the only way you can get a foreign flu.
Because some of the polio was given by the mouth. Remember, they gave all
the Salk.
They gave it
The Salk vaccine, yeah. But your body was able to break that up. But there was lots of disease caused by the Salk vaccine.
So, you don't believe there's going to be an epidemic or pandemic anymore?
You can't have a pandemic of flu. It's impossible. Cells can't make it like that. It's impossible to have a flu. All of your vaccines are a hoax. Every one of them. There's no evidence. And you'll notice that every time they come out with a vaccine, the disease is already gone. Because they know if they produce the vaccine and give you the vaccine while the disease is still in its growth factor. What do they call that?
Integration.
No, it's called. There's a wane and there's a. Yeah. Anyway, while it's still on the rise, they will never give the swine flu because, any kind of a vaccine, because the vaccine will cause the disease to be worse. And it'll kill a lot of people. So they always wait till the disease is almost gone. If you look at the records on whooping cough, smallpox, any of those, when those were so-called pandemics at the time, they were all gone. They were down to almost the 1% level before the vaccines came out. It's money. It's all about money. It has nothing to do with health. Vaccines are the worst thing you can do to anybody in your life, especially children. And they blame fish for all the mercury. In one vaccine, there have been 67,000 trillion molecules of mercury. Do you know how much fish you would have to eat that wasn't, let's say, swordfish? You'd have to eat about 1 million pounds of swordfish in your lifetime to get what you get in 2 vaccines of mercury. So again, the medical profession and the government is trying to move the people's minds out of suing the pharmaceutical houses and the governments for requiring vaccines because of all the mercury contamination from vaccines. And, in California, there's 68 vaccines required by the time the child is 15 and a half years old. In some states, it's 120 vaccines by the time they reach that age. They don't want to admit that either. They keep coming out with these, even though there's plenty of good scientific evidence that shows that children who are vaccinated have a higher rate of autism. There was one group that went in and tested all the Amish communities and Mennonites who refuse vaccines. They have a normal low rate of autism. And everybody else has a high rate, 600 to 800 times more autism than occurred before 1957, before vaccines became, mandatory.
What's the premise that the FDA and the Medical Association use to be able to do all this stuff?
What do you mean, to do all of what stuff?
To make all these vaccines, create all this crap, load on them. I know it's about money, but still, what's the vaccine? What's the premise of it?
The premise is money. It's all about money. Some people say, go further, and I don't want to get into that there's certain elements in our government which are higher up that are involved in these secret societies that want to get rid of 5 billion people. And that's a good way to make sure that you're going to have a lot of disease, is you infect those children with mercury and aluminum and formaldehyde every time they get an injection. You're going to be assured that eventually the amount of disease is going to far surpass, birth rate.
That's the premise.
Yeah, it's a premise. Nothing can prove about it, except that they approached me. This group of people approached me and asked me not to give this diet to anybody else, and they would make me very rich, and just stay with that group of people. And I told them, I'm not into the same thing that you are. I look at people as independent spirits, so I refuse to do it.
Well, are you still alive, Aajonus?
I don't do any advertising, so they're not really afraid of me. And they don't mind, probably some of the people that will stay alive will be healthier, and that's probably as favorable to them. But they only want, according to them, they want 1.5 billion people on the earth that they can completely control. That means getting rid of 5 billion people, because we have 6.5 billion people now. But, that's all hypothetical stuff,
I was telling him about statistical data. Just senators and congressmen, there's 64% interested in pharmaceuticals.
Absolutely. No, it's higher. I think it's 72%. 72%. It used to be 62% before Bush started making appointments.
Okay.
Now that Bush has made appointments, 72% of all the people in government own pharmaceutical stock.
I go to get the statement of economic interest on judges, and it's got pharmaceutical companies on a lot of them.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. That's where the big money is on this planet. It's pharmaceuticals. You can take a 25-cent or 10-cent pill and sell it for $35. Great money in it.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Okay, let's get back to food. Okay. Do you have a question?
I don't see anything in your books about wheatgrass.
Yes, I did.
So,
In the first book,
okay.
I say that wheatgrass juice, unlike any other vegetable that is green and produces chlorophyll, is acidic in the blood and alkaline in the intestines, and you want just the opposite of that. You want acidity in the digestive tract and alkalinity in the blood. your blood always should be on the acid side, but we have so many toxins in our body that the blood has a tendency to get over acidic. That's why I suggest vegetable juices throughout the day to help balance that, so nobody gets too irritable or too dry, or whichever comes first, the dryness or the irritability. Well, it depends upon the individual. Anywhere up to 4 cups a day, but as little as 1 cup a day. 8 to depending upon the size of individual. 8 to 16, or even 4 to 16. Sometimes I've had people that are 300 pounds, and I tell them to drink, a whole 24 ounces the first thing in the morning.
But you said throughout the day.
But the first juice for that person would be 24. Then the next one could be 12. Next one could be 8. And then after that 8. Depends upon the individual.
Did I understand you to say that wheatgrass is acidic?
No, it causes over-alkalinity in the intestines, and acidity, it turns around in the blood and turns the blood to acidic.
So we don't want to take it.
Correct. Wheatgrass juice is not a beneficial juice if you're on this diet. If you're a vegetarian, you need that acidity in your blood, because then you won't reproduce red blood cells. So if you're a vegetarian or fruitarian, wheatgrass can help you. But if you eat, any kind of meat, any kind of dairy, then you shouldn't be eating wheatgrass juice. Comfrey and parsley, those are good green vegetables, leafy vegetables, to get your chlorophyll and vitamin E, vitamin D.
What's the science behind the diet?
Primal. Well, the science behind the diet is that it works. Like I said in the beginning of the revision, everything that's in that book came about from experiential experience. In other words, everything in there is empirical. Anything I say with science to back it up was following what actually happened, because that's the way I started from when back in 1973, when I realized that everybody contradicted everybody else about health, so nothing was good for you and nothing was bad for you. And that's basically, everything was confusion. I realized that I wasn't going to accept anything as truth unless I saw it work. And that's when I began observing and just taking notes, observing and taking notes. And I did not even start writing this book until 1993, because I wanted to have a lot of years of experience to see what really worked and what didn't.
What part of the diet deals with infection?
Well, every person gets one question around.
Okay.
So do you have a question? You. Yes?
Oh. Just make sure. We were bringing up the topic last month because of my blood pressure. And for those people who haven't been on the diet yet, the issues it affects with adrenals versus thyroid. Discuss that.
What is the point?
The question is bringing up the meat, and sometimes it affects people's adrenal glands if you have too much meat.
You're talking about meat in general, or you're talking about red beef? Okay. In some individuals, they have a tendency to produce a lot of hormones for physical activity. When I look into the irises, what most iridologists call the stress rings, I call worry circles. They tell me how much your body produces, how much hormone your body produces for physical activity in a day. The more of those you have, the more activity you better do in a day. If you don't, you're going to have anxiety. So if you have a high amount of those rings, the more red meat you eat, the more hormones you're going to produce, like adrenaline, for that physical activity. And that can put you over the top. It can be too much. And that is a system which will have a highly acidic bloodstream. And that's why I say in the book, if you have a highly acidic bloodstream or you're a hyperactive individual, eat less red meat and eat more white meat. The stress rings, I call them worry circles instead of stress rings, but I just say that to be an alarming, to flash a stop sign, to be aware. But really they should be called activity rings. But I say worry circles because if you don't produce the activity, you will have the anxiety. So which door do you want? Activity or anxiety? Because you're going to utilize it. You can burn it off emotionally, you can utilize those hormones in emotional anxiety, or you can do physical activity. Simple as that.
And in this case, it also affected my blood pressure because I was pumping out so much of it.
So much adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yep. That your blood pressure kept going sky high. Another way to force you to eliminate it. You get high blood pressure, you can't sit still. It makes you active. Okay? That's getting rid of that hormone. So it's a vicious cycle.
In my case, it was, I think we had 3 or 4 rings. I don't know how everybody else did. I did about an hour and a half of exercise.
Which is a minimal amount. Yeah, small amount.
And even if I think I'm active, sometimes I'm not active enough.
Right.
And that's
Right. Now, see, he's normally a person who could eat, an average, more probably 60, 70% of his meat could be red meat, like beef, lamb, buffalo, venison, and deal with that amount of activity. But in his system, it's a little different. He even has to have less red meat than normally for somebody who has only 4 worry circles. The highest worry circles I've seen is 11. And all athletes and all ditch diggers and builders and, construction workers, they all have from 7 to 11. Once in a while I'll find a 6 in there, but they usually aren't as hardy and as energetic as the ones who have 7 to 11. But they have to exercise and utilize enough hormones that are produced and utilized in 8 to 12 hours of activity a day, or very strenuous activity in a shorter amount of time. Like a football player, basketball players probably. And basketball and tennis are probably the most exerting there is, besides some scientists say sex is. 10 minutes of sex is worth an hour of hard, aerobic exercise. I don't know how they get that, but that's what they say. But I played basketball, and I played, just thought of something. I broke Jolie's nose playing basketball when she was 14 years old. We were playing basketball in Beverly Hills, and I went up for a basket shot. She got right under me, and my elbow caught her nose. Her nose looks very good, doesn't it? We were playing with her father, John, and some other people. Anyway, the activity of someone who's playing basketball or tennis, you're in constant movement, constant activity, up and down, around. Tennis is a little, you get to stand there and swing but the movement is so rapid and so fast that it almost as much as a basketball player.
Well,
So let's say you did 4 hours of basketball in a day. Training, that would be worth 8 to 12 hours of normal activity. And by activity, I don't mean you have to go out and exercise. You just have to have your body moving that many hours a day. If you do something strenuous like dance or basketball, then you can reduce the amount of hours of exercise or activity. As long as you're not getting anxious, as long as you're sleeping well, and you've got good behavior and you've got a good personality, you don't need that extra activity. You're doing fine. Okay? Lorraine, do you have a question? Okay. Do you have a question? I can't understand you. Oh, okay. Terrific. Joe, do you have a question? Okay. Not one yet, maybe later? Okay. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that's misconstrued as allergy. You just have to remember when you have mucus to block particles that you breathe in that normally aren't part of food and they don't digest properly. Pollution from, let's say, a diesel truck is not something that the body normally takes in. The body can take pollens in, it can take organic matter and make it into food as part of the body locally. Our skin eats all the time. If you get particles in your mucous membranes that the body cannot break down and utilize in the system as food, then it will create mucus, excessive mucus, to allow it to flow outward. And so it's an allergy in a sense, but our allergy mainly because is our allergies or insensitivity or oversensitivity to the natural pollens, which nobody should be allergic to, have a reaction because we have too many industrial toxins stored in the tissue, which prevents certain enzymes from being formed to break a pollen down into a substance that could be food locally into that mucous membrane. So it's like taking antibiotics. You take antibiotics, you lose your intestinal flora and bacteria, you can't digest your normal food anymore. So when we breathe in these toxins, lead, dioxins, whatever they are, and they line our mucous membranes and get into our tissues, and we get normal things that come into the system like pollen or dirt. Dirt is fine. Everybody eats dirt. All animals eat dirt. But if we breathe it in with these toxins, we can't break it down properly. We can't utilize it properly, so it becomes a problem in our systems. So, of course, we flow with mucus to discharge it. And mucus is mainly to protect, to allow things not to enter the mucous membranes without proper slow decomposition and utilization, absorption and utilization in the system. It is now, because we're so toxic and polluted, it's now a element of discharge, of excrement or secretion to get rid of toxins. So, pardon? If you can't break it down, if you can't break those elements down, you want a runny nose. If you don't have a runny nose, those elements get into your tissues and they'll cause serous tissue, a hardening of your mucous membranes, which leads to cirrhosis, or serous tissue. I don't know why they only refer to cirrhosis of the liver, but you have cirrhosis in all the MS. That's multiple sclerosis. Serous tissue means hardened tissue. So it can apply to anything. So cirrhosis could be of anything, but they only apply it for some reason to liver. So I know quite a few people, especially Asians, who don't have any sense of smell or sense of taste because they've used the American medical system's way of Dristan, sulfur products to dry out their sinuses. Can you imagine going through life not able to taste or smell? Everything is like cardboard. Everything you taste, no flavor to it, no smell, no fragrance. That's quite a loss in life. So allow the mucus to discharge. Just say, well, that's part of my being. Now I will go through life blowing my nose and having mucus discharge. Of course, if you go on a good diet, such as this one, your chances are 95% that will only happen for so many years. The people who've gotten on this diet with emphysema, asthma, allergies, they're all through it by 6.5 years. Never happens to them again. If they come in with allergies and not emphysema, usually 2.5 years, they may only have a short occurrence of it at the heaviest bee pollen season, so it may last 10 days, 2 weeks at the most, and it's usually 1/10 of what they suffered before. So they have no problem with it. Then after about 6.5 years, then there's no problem. People with emphysema take 6 years to get to the point where it's reduced enough. You're welcome. Do you have a question?
What is the classification? Skin or something that might become a melanoma or something like that?
Well, melanomas can come from a lot of different irritations to the skin. First, you have to look at cancer. Cancer is a collection of dead cells. You've lost the ability to have parasites or bacteria or a fungus to dissolve the dead cells. So dead cells will begin collecting. Now that is where tumors form, collection of dead cells. If it's benign, there's no cancer cells. If your body says, I want a chance to get rid of this tumor quickly, it'll make it into cancer. So I prefer cancer over a benign tumor. Just the opposite of the medical profession, because a cancer cell, when it dies, it lets out a solvent identical to viruses that dissolves all the surrounding dead cells of the tumor. So you can have a tumor dissolve in 2 days to 2 years. If you have a benign tumor, it can take 30 years to dissolve it, because there's no blood vessels in it. There's no dead cells that will have a solvent property about them like cancer cells. So your body has to eat away at it from the outside in, slowly and gradually. But when you have vessels going through a tumor, a malignant tumor, you have all those cancer cells and blood cells, so you can dissolve and eliminate it immediately.
And what kind of good classification?
For melanoma, for itchy skin, well, it depends what your itchy skin is from. If your itchy skin is from a lack of fats, the sun can cause an irritation to the cells, rupture them, kill a lot of them, and cause melanoma to form. Another melanoma can be formed from your body throwing, let's say, mercury or aluminum, or a combination of aluminum and formaldehyde from vaccines, throwing it out from an injection and stored in your tissue somewhere, and it comes out through the skin and dries it. That usually creates a hive that turns into a crust and then can turn into melanoma. So there are several varieties of melanoma, and it depends on what yours is from, or the person about whom you're speaking. It depends on what is in them that they have to detoxify. Could be heavy metals, could be just a lack of fat, good raw fat, that lubricates their skin. if the sun created melanoma, every black person in the world would be dead because of all the sun that they get. All the Asians that work in the fields, all the Mexicans who work in the fields, all the Latins who work in the fields that are subjected to the sun all day long, they'd all have melanoma, but it's rare in them because they all eat some kind of fat, avocados or whatever it is. They eat some kind of raw fat that feeds the skin. Do you have a question?
Question about goji berries.
Yeah.
Can you talk about it a little bit?
Well, goji berries are a berry that's produced on a bush. They are said to have properties to reverse quite a few diseases. And in my research in the tribes who use them, cultures who use them, yes, they had a lot of medicinal properties as long as they were either dried in the sun and eaten or juiced fresh. But any time it was steeped or processed, if it were steeped or cooked in any way, it reduced the efficacy by 60%. When it's processed, like for distribution in our commercial society, when it has the FDA's approval of sanitary, it's effective in maybe 10-12% of the people, and then it's not long term. So, if you're going to eat goji berries, get them dried, sun dried, or get the powder, or and steep it in some water, but sun steep it, or just let it soak in the water. Some other way to utilize them other than cooking and process. Do you have a question? That's a difficult one because macular degeneration is eyes. It's in the eyes. It's muscles in the eyes. Macular degeneration is when the eye tissue is breaking down. That usually comes from the brain dumping its heavy metals out the tear ducts, or somebody using an eye wash or a contact cleanser that has thimerosal, liquid mercury in it. Always some toxin causes the breakdown of tissue, and it's always an industrial toxin. Only 10% of the diseases that exist today existed before industrial pollution. That means probably that cooked food attributed to 10% of all the diseases that exist today. The other 90% have come from waste products and the products of industrial manufacture. The brain uses the most metallic minerals because metallic minerals are used to convey electricity and light. And that's the method of the nervous system. That's its object, to transport information, sensation, stimulation, all through electricity and light. That is dependent upon metallic minerals. Metallic minerals, you need very little to do that. However, when you cook a food, you cause the metallic minerals in it to be free radical. So whether it's mercury, lead, iron, cadmium, any of the heavy metals, once it is a free radical, that means that it has no way of knowing its place in structure. And when you cook, you destroy enzymes and vitamins and everything that makes the basic structure of where that element is used. So, since the brain and nervous system use most metallic minerals, if your body can't discard it and get rid of it because it doesn't have the fats to do it, or the proteins and the elements to make the enzymes to escort it out of the body or perspire it out or discharge it out the mucous membranes or the feces or the urine, to get rid of it in some way, it stores in the nervous system and brain. The brain detoxifies mainly through the gums, the tongue, and the salivary glands and the eyes. So, if that's discharging like that, you're going to have, if it's discharging out the tear ducts and it goes through the eyeball itself, it's going to create macular degeneration. If you're washing your eyes with a wash, for contacts, or because your eyes get dry or red, and you're using an eye wash that has thimerosal in it, it's liquid mercury. You're going to keep absorbing the mercury into the eyeball, and eventually it's going to damage your eyesight, young or old. And if it gets deeply into the eye, into the muscles of the eye, it will cause macular degeneration. How to reverse macular degeneration is very difficult because the circulation in the eyeball is very narrow. So you have to have swollen eyes, and that's not comfortable to have. It blocks vision, and that's the only way you can quicken circulation and nutrients in the eyeball to help remove damaged tissue and to regenerate it. So it's difficult, but you could do it at night. You can, one night lie on one side and put the hot water bottle near your eye, not against it, because you don't want to put pressure there. You want the heat to go to the area to cause swelling. Swelling is nothing other than increased circulation. Anytime you get an injury and you have swelling, do not run for the ice. If you do, you're going to cause blood clotting. You're going to cause the damaged bruised tissue to remain in the area, and that's why your athletes burn out in the late 30s, because they've collected too much scar tissue in their injuries because their coach wanted them to play. So it cuts, they put ice packs on them so they can get out there and play again. Because as long as the swelling there, the joints don't work as easily, so they're likely to fall out, so they can't play well. So they pack ice on their legs and knees, wherever the arm, the elbow, wherever it is, and then these people end up with scar tissue and not able to work past their 30s or 40 years old because of all the accumulation of scar tissue. So do not use ice ever unless it's just for a minute or two, just to reverse some pain.
What about if you have burnt your hand quickly, just one bit? If you burnt...
Well, burning on it, that's different. I'm talking about an injury, a bruise, and that kind of swelling. But if you burn something, applying an opposite time, which is a few seconds or a minute of ice to that area, will actually reverse the burn in some situations. So that is the only time that I would ever use ice, is on a burn, and it has to be immediately after the burn. 10 minutes after a burn, it doesn't work anymore. It's too late. All the fluids have changed. Pardon? No. To reverse a burn, it has to be the ice immediately to stop it. An ice cube straight on the burn. But it has to be within, I think, 3 minutes in most cases, in children 5 minutes.
You know the ice packs they send you with your, send you to blue dairy and stuff, do you ship it?
I carry one on my arm just for 20 feet or so. And it's the worst freezer burn in my life.
Yeah.
There's something special about that.
Well, they have a fluid which maintains the ability to stay cold longer. It's
I believe
a
ice would have
chemical.
done that.
Pardon?
I believe ice would not have done that.
No, it wouldn't have done that. I mean, leaving it on a while is going to create, a frostbite-like thing. Yeah. But that's different. It's usually radioactively involved. It's like you have certain substance, you can microwave it to heat it or freeze it, and it'll stay frozen longer and quicker. It's in the gel.
What's in that gel?
There's different compounds that they use. They don't give the secrets.
Is there some kind of radioactive?
For the ones that you heat and the ones that you're freezing, it's like an opposite of radiation, but it still causes severe cellular damage. Well, he just buys whatever he can get.
Is that not just ice that's more healthy?
Well, unless it's the fluid or the product is touching that substance, it's not going to. Yeah. But he's supposed to be putting cardboard between that and the food.
He does not.
Okay, then you call him and you say, you have to put cardboard between it. He does an hours because I tell him he has
He
to.
puts it right on top of the food? Yeah.
Okay, then don't allow it. He doesn't do it to me because I don't allow it. I say you put a cardboard between that and my food. Don't you dare put that next to my food.
Don't put it next to a milk bottle.
Don't put it,
Or a
not,
plastic milk bottle.
you've got to have a piece of cardboard or something between. Plastic bag won't insulate it. Corrugation with air space in between helps. That's why cardboard works.
Okay, we'll go back to the eye. So you
Okay,
the hot
so
water bottle.
let's say you're lying on one side, you put the hot water bottle here,
Yep.
you put a towel, a small hand towel that goes over that and over both eyes. Leave your nose or mouth out so you can breathe. And that'll maintain the heat just in a localized area of the head and eye. It'll cause the heat to go in so all the muscles in the eye and then the head everywhere will relax.
Yeah.
More blood and neurological fluid and lymph can go into that area to clean the area and to bring more nutrients into the area. So you can assure better reversal of the macular degeneration and the prevention and healing of it by that. But a raw diet, a good raw diet with raw meat and lots of raw fat is the only way I know that you're going to actually be able to reverse it and stop it.
Right.
Or stop it and then reverse it. Well, you could do it every night. You place it near that, just not against. It can be right near it, right, barely touching.
Because it's hollow. It's in the hollow, yeah. You could have it so it's...
No, you don't want it touching at all. You don't want it touching
No,
your
not
skin.
touching the eye, but touching the...
Not even touching your head. You want it on the pillow or bed right beside you, not touching your body. Only thing that will touch your body is that towel that goes over your head.
Okay.
Other side the next night.
All night.
Until you go to sleep. You're going to move sometime away from it during the night. So you could be there for a half an hour. You could be there for 2 hours or 5 hours. Your body will move away when it wants to. If it feels the increase in circulation is getting too large, let's say you have some serous tissue in the brain. And if you have too much swelling in the brain, you could have an aneurysm. And you could have a blood burst, blood vessel burst in the vein. You better believe your body's not going to allow you to stay there around the hot water bottle for very long. You're going to move in your sleep away from it. Unless your body's completely stupid.
What does that have to do with what we're talking about? The energy? What are you talking about?
Heat causes increased circulation. That causes swelling everywhere. You've got it here, it's going to cause swelling in the brain. It goes back into the eye, all the way into the brain. If you have too much swelling in the brain and you have serosed tissue in the brain, dried areas, the increased circulation could cause a fracture of a blood vessel.
So how do you know when too much is on it?
Your body will move away from it. Unless you live on donuts and you're a police officer.
Would that help for the, like I said, I get a lot of crusting in the morning, and would that help, whatever, is that...
That will help that too. That'll help it flow a little bit quicker.
Is that coming out of your eyelids, though, per se? Is that...
It depends. If it's moving from your brains out your eyelids, yes. If it's moving from your tear ducts, then it's moving from the eye itself.
You can't tell.
You could do an analysis. Will cost you $2,300. I can give you the laboratory.
But have you had good results with people that have had macular degeneration? Or
For the ones who will do it,
the ones that are on the diet
and the ones that do that practice, it helps quicker.
Is
Quicker.
there an actual reversal, or is there just it doesn't get worse?
No, it's reversal. Well, it goes into cessation first and then reversal.
Can you see it on the iridology?
Yeah.
You can? You can see it.
Well, I can see macular degeneration in the tissue and from the pupil.
Really?
Yeah.
So the hot water bottle suspended in that under.
Correct. You put it here, you can put pressure up into your temple. It's not what you want. You want everything to be open for even flow of nutrients, because you could cause a certain area to blister and bubble, bruise it. So you don't want to put it directly on, ever.
Same thing on your ear.
Same thing in the ear. You just lie on your back and you have it here or here.
Not
With
touching.
a towel in between?
Correct. Not a towel. Well, you can put a towel in between. It's a towel over. Like if you had a hot water bottle here, you're lying back on your back, and you've got the hot water sitting right next to your ear. You could drape a towel over this and your head, over the hot water bottle on your head, and that'll keep the heat directly into your head area, ear area.
And that's the same thing for the neck? I don't put it...
Correct.
I do not put it on my neck?
You do not put it on your neck. I say that in the book. Never put it against your skin. You put pressure there, it's going to block the circulation you're trying to flow. It could make it worse.
In a hot bath,
For the migraines, though, when I have really severe migraines...
I said put it next to your head and put the towel over.
You wet the top?
You can if you like. Dampen it.
in a hot bath.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry, I just referred to the same thing.
Do you have a question?
Are there other ways to locally increase circulation without being specific to hot water bottles?
Not in a localized area. You can get into a hot bath or a hot room, but that affects the whole area. Then you're dispersing all the nutrients that you've digested in a certain amount of time to a whole area. That doesn't concentrate on a troubled area. Concentrate on a troubled area, which you want to clean and heal quickly. You have to focus the heat to that area. Did you have another question outside of that? Okay, Barbara, do you have a question?
Just want to ask, if one was having if there's going to be a problem in an area or an area of the world and there's going to be less food available or water available, what would you suggest that we do? Say for instance there was an earthquake and it cut down a lot of electricity and a lot of things happened in an area and the whole system closed down 75% or more. What would you eat?
My neighbor. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'm just saying.
I never met a human healthy enough to eat. Very toxic creatures. No, what I would do is what I've done is for Y2K. Everybody was panicking. I was a programmer, an autistic programmer, so I knew when I was autistic I was a programmer. So I knew that there was no danger and all of that. So, but a lot of people were freaking out, so I was experimenting ways to preserve food. So a friend of mine shot a deer, and I bled it and skinned it, and butchered it, and we put it in different containers with different things: olive oil, peanut oil, kefir, buttermilk, all kinds of things. Every one of them preserved very well. I've still got some of that meat that sits in those jars that is just as red and as pretty as when I put it in those jars 6 years ago. So if you want to do that, you collect it. Honey's a very good substance to have a lot of on hand, and I keep about 5 gallons. I keep 5 gallons in my, cupboard. I don't keep the same one. I keep rotating, eating them, but I always have 5 gallons in my cupboard. So I've got all that raw meat in jars, and it's not even in the refrigerator. Yeah, not in the refrigerator. Pardon?
None of them were better than the other. Honey, the oil, the kefir, they're all as good as each other.
They all work just as equally, as long as you don't open the lid.
Yeah.
Once oxygen gets into it, it starts, the bacteria growing. Pardon?
Even the kefir kept it as well without...
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That's lovely, thank you.
There was a scientist that, Vladimir Stephenson, who worked for the government and studied the Eskimo. He quoted a scientist who kept a piece of steak fresh for 10 years using buttermilk.
Wow.
In a jar, to cover it in a jar. 10 years. That meat was fresh. So it could have been longer than that. They just opened it after 10 years. They have a tendency to mold. They get blue cheese mold on them.
What if it was a mercury oil? It wouldn't be oil, would it?
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
Yeah, I tried it every way, and I can't get butter to maintain unless it's refrigerated.
I use butter and cheese has to be refrigerated.
Well, cheese does not have to be refrigerated. It just dehydrates so much. Cheese molds in the refrigerator. Cheese will not grow and not mold outside of the refrigerator. Cheese depends upon low temperature molds. That's why you put cheese in cold storages and in caves, to get those molds to grow in the cheese to make the cheese. You can't make cheese without a mold, without some kind of a fungus.
So if you want to source and then what comes back to
in Asia, a native taught me how to preserve meat fat. She took duck fat, chicken fat, beef fat, and she would just take it and just put it out in the sun for an hour, and it creates a plastic sealing. It's not really plastic, but it's just like plastic, and it seals the fat. so I shared some with her that was a year old, and it was delicious. Under no refrigeration, but you just bake it in the sun for an hour, and it puts a sealing over the fat.
And then what do you do with it? Put it in your hot jar?
No, well, yeah, well, she had it in a cooler, but, you know, just out of the sun, there was no ice in it. I would put it in glass, of course, you know, gallon glass jars. What I would do. You're welcome. But those are the only things that I know you can preserve without refrigeration for a situation like that. But you really need fat, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you could do the lard, the fat from the beef.
Absolutely. When I'm in Thailand, you know, I'll go to these markets where all the flies are all over everything, and that's the stuff I want.
Oh.
You know, and they'll hang it there with these strips of fat. You'll never find this in our market. You've got a strip of meat here, and it's about 1/3 or 1/4 meat, and the rest is all this fat. And they look at this white boy, you know, this what do they call a phalong, and they say, you know, oh, you know, because I'll say in English because I don't know the Thai words for the fat yet, and I don't know why I haven't learned it, but I haven't. And I'll say, you know, the fat, and then they'll cut off the fat and give me the meat, and I'll say, no, I don't want the meat, I want the fat, you know, and they think I'm crazy. Because, you know, most white people just don't want any fat on anything. And it's dirt cheap. You know, I mean, I paid, you know, for 5 pounds of good fat and with a little meat, I paid like $5 for 2.5 kilos. So that's about, you know, 7 pounds.
When I was in Italy in South Sardinia, they had a little butcher shop, and we were going in there, and they cut the little baby sheep in half, and they would hang it there, and we would pick what we wanted, and I got some little, you know, meat from that. But I mean, I wouldn't know what to eat, to tell you the truth, but it was just little baby sheep.
You can eat anything but the skin.
It's platinum fun.
Why not the skin?
Skin's very indigestible.
That's what you can make levels of.
Exactly. Yep.
Thank you for that.
And if you want to take bone, you just, you know, break it into, you know, pieces and then eat it. And it's not going to lodge in your throat. When animals get bones and people get bones lodged in their throat, it's always cooked bones. It's like the difference between unfired clay and fired clay. When you can chew bones, the Eskimos do it every day. They chew bones. My teeth aren't good enough. Like after the chemo and radiation, you know, all my teeth dangled. It rotted all the bone around. I mean, I can rip meat up and I can eat hard stuff, but when it comes to bone, you know, I'm not going to chance on breaking my bone and teeth.
If you had something to pulverize it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Pulverize is good. Yeah, absolutely.
Grate it.
Grated, I do that sometimes, definitely. It's a lot of work, definitely. It'd be nice. Do you have a question, Ron?
Well, I was kind of rolling into everything you were talking about because I was considering traveling. I just started hitting on some of the things to do while you're traveling, how to shop. I didn't know about the fat, but it can't be cured stuff.
If it's cured, like kosher, there's salt in it.
Yeah.
Heavily salted. So nothing kosher.
But when you're traveling, it's hard to know what they do.
All you do is ask.
Well, but corned beef is corn in
Oh, corned beef is always cooked in process.
it's cooked, that's correct.
Any pre-prepared meats are always cooked. They're blanched, they call it. Half cooked.
And that's not
Like half baked.
Yeah. You like half-cooked crab? You don't want that anymore. Again, kind of furthering on with a discussion about traveling and getting food that's not in our normal locale. So you're saying travel with butter, our own. We take our own butter with us?
Take your butter, take your cheese, and take your honey.
Those three things.
Yep.
And we can live on those?
No.
Or we can get eggs?
That you can get eggs anywhere, you can get meat anywhere. Pardon? Well, where did you land?
I was in Rome. They took
Oh, well, Italy's not going to let you go in with agriculture.
No, it was only because of the thing that happened. Because I used to be able to take it to work. Took my butter, any gel, plus I took it on the plane. I don't know, I guess if you want to put it in your luggage, but they do the high-speed x-ray, don't they?
Yeah, but you can ask them to handle it differently. You go to the airline officials and ask them to have it hand checked.
Which
I know
airline
you
did
do
you
that
say you
with-
went to the officials? Was it Singapore Airlines?
China Airlines.
You have the doctor's note saying that you don't want your stuff, you want it handcuffed.
But that doesn't mean that they honor it all the time.
I know, and how would you know?
You don't know until they do it. So you get there.
Well, continue the discussion about traveling. Dairy is always the hardest, milk particularly, or anything, everything's pasteurized today, everything. And everything is processed. So what other staples can you buy in the store that's universal? Anything you suggest at all, cans or bottles or whatever?
No. Best thing to do is go get avocados, eggs, and meat. And fatty meats. Just get lots of fatty meat. Ask them for the fat, because they cut off fat all the time. And they just throw it away.
Yeah, I have a problem with that because so when I buy meat now, I could want fatty meat even today.
Absolutely.
Really? Somehow we didn't get that across.
It's in the books.
How do you swallow it?
Well, I bought a meat grinder. I grind up all my meat.
Yeah.
And that makes it a lot more
Easy
palatable.
for you, yeah.
Lies. Yes.
Maybe with honey it would go down better.
Yeah, then you can put anything you want on it. I mean, I like that. If you had my chicken today, I love that pickled ginger. Man, that kills the taste of everything. No matter how rancid it is. That was my salvation when I found that. Pickled in the way. So that's the other thing, I guess. Is pasteurized, can you actually convert pasteurized milk to whey and curd? Only raw milk will go that way?
Oh, well, yeah. You make cheese out of pasteurized. You have pasteurized cheeses all over the place. But then you have to deal with the osteoporosis and the other diseases that it causes.
Yeah, but we're talking about traveling only for maybe a week or two. So I'm just going to get away with some of that.
That's up to you to try.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't. I just go. I eat lots of beef fat if I don't have, other sources of fat.
It's tough for me to chew the meat fat. Can you just swallow it?
No, that's too hard to digest. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of bile to break it down. Yeah.
So it has to be cut
So,
up.
when I was in Thailand, I was eating that much fat at a time, twice a day. I just sit there and the sirloin from the meat. I'd sit on the porch of my hotel overlooking the island and eat that stuff.
Small piece.
Pardon?
Small piece.
No, I was taking big chunks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was mostly sirloin fat. I like the sirloin fat better. Oh no, no, you have to chew. Yeah. You're trying to get the membrane around it. And what you need to do is you need to open the membrane so the fat comes liquid out, or gets liquid when it's in your mouth.
Is that what they mean? Doing the fat?
Doing the fat, yes. Because fat is liquid, but the membranes that hold the fat, that's tough. You know? But I fractured, and then I squeeze it out with my teeth. It's like wringing it out. You know? But you've got to fracture it first.
Yeah, the marrow, too, the bone marrow.
Oh yeah, that's delicious. Yeah. Well, you have to ask if you use someone on my list, you just tell them to send it non-frozen.
The other, chicken. We'll continue to travel, but chicken is easy to get. Right? So we don't know the sources of chicken.
Chicken is the foulest thing that I don't touch when I travel, unless it's in an Asian country and they're poor. That's when I have them.
Why?
Because they feed, all commercial chickens are mostly fed soy as their protein source. And even though they say it's organic, the soy was raised organically. In order to feed chicken soy, you have to process it and use a chemical treatment. Otherwise, raw soy kills any bird, all poultry, just like raw soy will kill a human. So it has to be solvent and heat treated. So it's a highly processed food. So I don't eat chickens that are fed a lot of soy, nor eggs from chickens that are fed a lot of soy. If it's over 25% soy, I don't touch the eggs or the chicken.
But when you're traveling, you don't have a clue.
That's why I don't eat birds.
Or eggs.
Well, I know I can call those people right away. That's not a problem. I can find out. If it doesn't say organic, that's what I'll buy. If it says organic, I won't buy the eggs.
Oh, really?
Yep. For eggs, I use just the opposite, non-organic, because they're lying. They're saying that those chickens are organic by feeding them the organically raised corn. They're not feeding them organically grown soy. They're not feeding them the organic soy in its form that was produced organically. There's a chemical treated product. So it's a lie. It's not only a misnomer, it's a lie.
So you think it's less than the eggs that don't say organic?
Yes.
Is that the only thing that's
Yep.
thought process?
Because everyone I've called, everyone that's organic will be feeding it 75 to 80% soy. Yep. And those that don't feed it organic are feeding it 25 to 35% soy.
What do the other people do?
They feed it corn and other grains. Animal food products. Yeah, and that's what they should do. My farmers who I get my eggs from feed them rotten meat, because chickens are scavengers. That's what they eat. They like rotten meat.
You said that James is getting a new source today?
We've got a new source. He feeds them no soy.
Lily's not eggs?
We don't buy Lily's anymore.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. Lily's is still better. They only feed theirs 25% soy. But we've got a better source now.
Like what?
James won't give me the name nor the place. Pardon? You could.
You can get them through the co-op.
Yeah. You're getting them from James, right?
Yeah. It's expensive.
Not good at all.
No organic.
Yep, it's all backwards. Yeah. And it's meant to be that way. It's meant to confuse you. Pardon? Well, you know, rotten eggs are good. You know, the Chinese and the Asians, you know, they have their century eggs, 25 years old rotten eggs. You know, and they're very expensive and they're very good.
They don't go bad.
Eggs, just remember, any raw food never goes bad. It just ages, it molds, the earth digests it in different ways, whether it's pre-digested with molds, soil bacteria, whatever it does. Now the Chinese, when they do their century eggs, they bury them in a different kinds of soil. Some are black and some are white. So the molds that get inside pre-digest all the protein and the fats. So that like when these old octogenarians eat the egg, like a century egg, they pay $1,000 for a 25-year-old egg. He can have an orgasm 2 times a day for 28 days. And it's worth it to him. That's his Viagra. You know, he'll pay $1,000 for one of those eggs. Because every molecule of that protein is completely fractionated. So every particle of protein and fat can be completely absorbed and utilized in the human body.
Have you tasted it?
You take them by closing your eyes, putting a nose clip on your nose, and you eat them.
But how do you taste it?
Oh yeah, I've eaten them. Yeah.
Did it make you feel good?
Oh, I gave me too much energy. I couldn't handle them that gone. I'll eat rotten eggs, but not those. Those are too much. Too much.
So even when they turn black,
I'd be a sex fiend.
no wonder we don't see so many girlfriends too long. When every summer we've had a problem where the eggs, when I get them, they turn black inside.
Those are good.
Those you want me to eat those?
They're already pre-digested.
All right. Oh God.
You've got a mold in there that's pre-digested.
Oh, I just have a hard time getting it.
If you close your nose to them, it'll just taste like an overly salted, hard-boiled egg.
Oh, this wasn't hard. It was mushy and bubbling.
I know, but that's what it tastes like, an overly salted, hard-boiled egg, as long as your nose is closed.
Okay.
Mine tastes slightly like chocolate, my black one.
Yeah, there's some that will.
Revolting,
Yeah.
but it tasted slightly chocolate.
Yeah, that's a different kind of mold. That's from salmonella. That's a good salmonella bacteria. Yeah. Yeah.
What about the eggs that they kind of break?
Pardon? E. coli one makes them taste a little melony.
The people I was dating in Italy, the guy was sending me into the farming and the chickens, and he would get the eggs every morning for me. And he said, don't wash them.
Exactly.
He said, do not wash them. And
Exactly.
I wanted to crack it. I did wash them, but I didn't understand why. Why? I should eat the dirt and...
Well, once you put the water over the egg, all of the reproduction of the cells stops instantly.
But I just want to wash it and then crack it and eat it.
Well, that's okay, but I mean the fecal matter is supposed to be good for you, you know. All animals eat fecal matter except for humans. All animals every day eat fecal matter. And dirt every day. And like I said, quoted in the book from the University of Toronto, they've been using E. coli to completely shrink and dissolve human brain tumors in 2 to 5 days. But there's no money in it.
No, they charge $10,000 an injection.
No, that's salmonella.
Oh, okay.
See, they haven't even marketed it. There's only one. They've marketed only one bacteria for that treatment now, cancer, and that's through Yale University. They attenuated the salmonella.
Oh, they attenuated it. Okay.
Yeah, they attenuated so that normally the salmonella will go in and stop and the flow of oxygen to a tumor, and then will start eating up the tumor. They attenuated so the salmonella will not eat the tumor, just stop the oxygen inflow and outflow from the tumor. Then they inject $12,000 of solvent into your tumor to dissolve it, which is highly toxic. You know, so instead of you just rotting your eggs and letting salmonella grow and eating it, they want you to spend $20,000, $8,000 for an injection of the attenuated salmonella, and then $12,000 for an injection of the toxin to dissolve the tumor. Why am I going to pay $20,000 to get rid of a tumor when I can let an egg rot and put a little feces on it and let it go to town for me?
I mean, just by eating, you know?
Do you know that no animals have cancer except domesticated animals? No cancer out there because they eat dirt, they eat fecal matter all the time. They even lick each other's, you know, all the time. And people are afraid of E. coli. E. coli is completely responsible for the final digestion of protein. That is the protein that feeds the nervous system and brain. It's the finite particles that can get into the ultra-small axons and ganglion interactions in the brain and nervous system. Without E. coli, your brain and nervous system would not exist in the stage it is. You'd be a plant.
25 years ago when I was in school, they taught that E. coli was an essential part of your bacterial gut. Now they don't teach that anymore.
Yeah, they're telling everybody to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Like they're saying, we should all go swimming down there when they say there's E. coli in the water. Down at the thing, we're closing the beach. We should say, oh, great.
I have a friend whose mother didn't give him and his brother any vaccinations. This is back when they were born in the late 40s, early 50s, and there was the worst sewage spill ever in the San Diego River, and it went out and went all the way down to the Point Loma coastline, and the surf was perfect. And my friend, who had never had a vaccination, when nobody else would go out in the water, he was surfing perfect surf by himself for like 2 weeks.
And he knew that he
knew he was fine.
But he knew he could?
He knew he could. Yeah, he knew his immune system. His mother got put in jail for
allowing him to do that?
No,
not giving
back in the 30s and 40s. She got put in jail for not recommending carrot juice, but prescribing carrot juice as a remedy. They put her in jail in New York for a day for carrot juice for her prescribing.
Prescribing, yeah.
Prescribing. But yeah, there's the E. coli story. This guy was swimming in it.
So all of us could swim in contaminated water, couldn't we, who eat this diet?
Well, let me give you an example. There was a movie out in '86, I believe it was, called Latino. And it starred Robert Beltran, I forgot the lady who starred in it, and one of my patients, Tony Plana, who's the third lead. And it was about our interference in Nicaragua under the Reagan and Bush bodies, and how we shouldn't have been there and what we were doing to Nicaragua, because it was a very democratic society. And he was going to shoot a movie. He was going to shoot the movie down there, and just before he left, they gave him a legal page sheet that said, do not eat anything raw. If you eat an apple, you steam it. If you have water, you boil it. When you're in the swamp shooting, you don't touch your mouth or your face, without washing your hands with a heavy detergent first. Don't drink any water near a swamp unless it's recently boiled or distilled. They had this long list of everything not to do. And Tony said, what do you think? And I said, do absolutely the opposite of what it says. You drink the swamp water. You eat your meat raw. You eat everything raw, and you'll be okay. So they were down there shooting, and within the first 8 weeks, everybody got deathly ill except Tony. Robert Beltran, if you see the movie, if you can rent it, you see him lose 50 pounds from one scene to another. He got so ill that he lost 50 pounds. They shut the film down for 6 weeks. He got so ill. Only person who didn't get sick was Tony Blum. The entire set, everybody, the director, the actors, the gaffers, all of the cast and technicians, all of them, the entire crew got sick except Tony. And he was drinking the swamp water, he was eating the raw meats, he was doing everything.
But a normal person who hadn't been on that raw diet, they would have got sick anyway, eating the raw food, wouldn't they, with all the bacteria?
They might have had a little case of it.
They wouldn't have been used to it.
But if they're eating only cooked and processed and boiled foods, they have no enzymes and vitamins to help them get well. So here these people were sick and continuing to eat all this processed cooked food and eating nothing raw. So they weren't getting any enzymes, no vitamins from their food. So they just got sicker and sicker and sicker. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, we're going to start around again. Oh, I'm sorry. This is our host. Thank our host. Thank you. Lisa. I think it's very eminent. I think in about 7 years it's definitely going to be, we have our network of food connection, and these people own the farms, so we're protected. Here, we're protected for a while, for about 7 years. Probably about 7 years we'll get by.
Yeah,
but after that, I don't know, unless we change the government.
2014 is when they scheduled that to completely be under control of governmental officials. Yeah. There won't be anybody that will be allowed to. Yeah. So Costa Rica, Portugal, and you were talking about some other countries. Oh, Thailand. Thailand,
Cambodia, Laos, all those very poor countries. They have very little interest in.
Right.
Laos is probably the least available to them, because there's not enough people who live there. There's not a lot of population to enslave. Cambodia's the same way. Thailand's got a lot of people. That's why they're infiltrating them. Thailand's been in cahoots with the U.S. government, since the Vietnam War, heavily. That king knows that if he doesn't do what those bankers say, and the people who run the U.S. government, he won't have a land. He won't have a kingdom. So he lets them in, and he lets them do too much.
Which country is it?
Thailand. Well, there are organic seeds. That's not true. There are about 23 companies that have what do they call them? Original seeds. Heirloom seeds. You go on the internet, you can find 23 to 26 companies. The big companies are still trying to buy them all out, but they're not selling. They bought up over somewhere around 2,000, when I last read, 2,700 of those seed companies. Dow and Monsanto. There's only 23 to 27 left in this country. Well, like I say, you have to have a close network with a farm. You better have to be in farm country. Pardon?
Where can you get farm?
You'll have to go up north in California if you're in California, or you have to go east anywhere to Pennsylvania, and then beyond Pennsylvania. Well, in Virginia, there's a lot of Amish and Mennonites all through the South. There's lots of farmland. There's not a lot that's not owned by Dow, Monsanto, and Warner's. And what's that other big agricultural company? They own most of the agricultural land now.
Archer Daniels?
No, they own crops, but not as much farmland. But that's a company that is getting heavily into it.
So if you're out like traveling, what eggs do you get? Like you go to the regular market, you buy like the off the farm.
No, that's all soy too.
Okay, so what would you do at the store that goes all the options you get? What would you pick out the health food store?
I would go to a health food store and pick the worst option there. Correct. It wouldn't say vegetarian fed, and it wouldn't say organic.
It would probably be the cheapest.
Probably. Yeah.
That makes it loud.
Well, it depends. Trader Joe's goes off and on with who they buy from. So you have to keep up with who they're buying from and what those chickens are fed. Right. Yeah.
I think Trader Joe's getting from Anderson. Yep, the story. We checked that one out ourselves. Anderson's in Peru.
Range fed is a range free. Yeah, but that range doesn't mean that's all garbage language again. It's a misnomer. They can put them in a room like your kitchen and call that range free. Range means they're allowed to roam. That doesn't mean on a range like we normally think of a range. It just means that they have a range of space. A range of space.
With another 1,000 chickens in the same space.
Yeah, and they could be, not touching sunlight, not out in the wild at all, cement floor. That's range free, or cage free is the same thing. If you say pastured, that's different. They have to be on grass. They have to be on dirt. Pasture eggs are the best. Pastured eggs. Or pastured chicken. Okay, let's start here.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, Michael.
The Federal Reserve, I heard that they want to completely go to an electronic money system. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I do, but this is not the subject and place for that. Okay. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I'm wondering about what you know about inflammatory breast cancer. Apparently a lot of women don't know about it and know it exists, and I'm wondering what exactly it is, why it's different than other kinds of breast cancer, and what you do about it.
Well, inflammatory breast cancer is having a cancer cell is normally a cell that will form into a tumorous area around dead cells, and it will form some kind of fibroid tissue. If the body decides that it doesn't want to build dead tissues into a fibroid tumor, it can start producing a serum or a bacteria, a solvent, a virus or a bacteria, to dissolve it right where it exists. And then that causes, an inflammatory situation that's not localized to a tumor. The whole breast can be involved. And that often happens if the lymph system is completely failing. And that's getting more and more these days. The more vegetable oils people eat, the more congested the lymphatic system. Because remember, animal fats do not create hardening of the arteries and heart disease. All the tribes who eat nothing but cooked meats and cooked animal products have no heart disease and no arteriosclerosis. People who eat cooked vegetables have arteriosclerosis. Vegetable oils in the human body harden and crystallize over time. We do not have the body temperature of an herbivore, an animal that eats vegetation. They have a body temperature of 101 to 105. Ours is 98.6 or lower, and most often lower. So when we eat vegetable oils, especially if hydrogenated, which means it's turned into plastic molecules, same molecular structure as plastic, we take those in the body, they harden the system, they dehydrate the area that they're contained in, and that means if it's part of the cell, the whole cell wall will become hardened, and what do you have? Cirrhosis tissue. Hardening of the arteries, hardening of the heart. We had very little heart disease when people were eating lard and bacon and stuff like that. Now that everybody's eating margarine and vegetable oils, heart disease is the number one killer.
You know, my father used to put lard in the pan, with bread, and just heat it and milk the bread clean. We did that during the Depression, and he loved it. And he didn't have any heart problems. Isn't it amazing? Yes. But still, raw is better.
Absolutely, raw is better, definitely. Because even your cooked fats are going to dry out and harden in the human body a little bit. But they will stay, even if cooked, they will stay mostly liquid in the human body. But vegetable oils do not. They turn into crystals. Every time you have a little sore and a crystal comes out, a little yellow or amber-looking little thing that comes off, you look at it under a microscope and you'll find crystals all throughout this little thing that comes out of your pore. That's vegetable oil. Hardened vegetable oil that your body has thrown off.
So what would be the thing to do, basically stimulating your lymph and clogging the lymph system?
In the book We Want to Live, the Primal Diet, the expanded version, under lymphatic congestion, I tell you how to do the lymphatic baths. But only take them 2 days a week max. Never closer than 3 days apart. Because the amount of detoxification that will occur, you could not keep up with it. It could cause you tremendous amount of fatigue, fibromyalgia, all kinds of problems.
At least 3 days apart?
3 days, at least.
That's
3
why
days
you told me to only use 20 minutes if I needed to have that.
Well, in the lymphatic baths, you stay in there anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half.
But you said if I needed another bath at a shorter time, just
20 up to 20 minutes. You could have 120-minute baths a day if you want. But if you're going to do a forced lymphatic detoxification, that's anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half bath. And that's forced. That will force many things to dissolve in the lymphatic system. That'll melt all of that hardened vegetable oil that's clogged the arterial system and heart. It'll start in layers, and when that starts exuding, your body has to get it out of the body quickly. And the nutrients that are available are going to be limited.
Got it.
So if you get too much out too frequently, you're going to be chronically fatigued. And in fibromyalgia, you're going to ache everywhere.
Got it.
What about a hot
And you're not going to be a happy person.
No, that explains
hot
it.
tub?
Pardon?
What about using hot tub?
Hot tub, the same as a hot bath.
As long as it's not chlorine in that.
Yeah, as long as there's not chlorine.
I can't.
That's a question I have.
More than 20 minutes. You can't do it.
Yeah. That's how toxic your lymph system is.
Well, I have a question. What's a good antidote for people who swim in swimming pools with chlorine and such? there any antidote?
There's not really. Drinking,
Don't swim
you know,
in the pool.
drinking Gerolsteiner, Perrier, any one of those, San Pellegrino, San Faustino, any of those naturally sparkling waters will help get rid of the chloroform vapor that results from chlorine. But if you want to be really tricky, like me, when I go to a hotel and I want to use their swimming pool, I'll sneak into their pump room and turn off the chlorination switch, and then I'll dump I'll take a few grapefruits and juice them and then pour that into the swimming pool that evening, and I'll be able to swim the next day. But then, I can only do that for 3 days before they start noticing the algae starting to turn green everywhere. So I get to swim for 3 days, and then after that I don't.
So rotten chicken at theaters and grapefruit
There you go.
hotels.
Got it.
Okay. Now you started to say that's why you did what?
Oh, you had told me because I was having a hard time during the summer, last summer, with stress, the hormones, adrenal gland. Also, I was detoxifying so much that I was actually getting sick from my own garbage coming out of my own body.
Detoxing too quickly.
Okay. I was in my own, urine, I was in my own whatever, I was coming out of my body.
Yep.
And I had pimples all over my body. I mean,
You're exuding it out your skin,
yeah.
which was good, but too fast, too much.
And I would ache all the time. I felt like the fibromyalgia. I was constantly aching. Okay.
Do you have a question? Uh-huh. Well, whey is good to get rid of fibromyalgia. It helps break down urea in the body. It contains a lot of lactic acid, so if you have sore joints, if you're an athlete, you get sore long, bruised long, the whey, W-H-E-Y, that's the liquid. If you take milk and it separates the curds and whey, it's the yellow stuff that's left, that's whey. Dried whey has no value. It's a big seller. It pumps up muscles, yes, but it's it inflates them. Then you'll look like Arnold Schwarzenegger does today. Pardon? Oh yeah, he is. Did you see his skin in that last bathing suit shot? I mean, his skin looks like an old tired elephant all the way down. Yeah. I'm older than he is, and I don't have any of that look at all. And I don't exercise. He still exercises.
How do you keep muscle on your upper arm if you don't do any exercise?
I eat properly.
But that doesn't put muscle on.
Oh, it does. It does if you've been on the diet as long as I have. Yep.
He said he had a big sex drive. You don't see his girl.
Pardon? I have 3 girlfriends in Thailand. That's the only time I have sex. 2 months a year. 3 months a year. Pardon?
Same time.
No, not at the same time.
So
that's too much work.
So back to the whey. Does it need to be refrigerated, or can it be out and should be out to be fermented to work?
It depends on, when you leave it out, it gets more vinegary, and sometimes it's harder to drink. It's a little bit more acidic. So it's up to you how you like it.
If you had honey to that, wouldn't that be? Vinegary and honey.
If you add honey to it, it might rush into your system a little too quickly.
Okay.
And how much per day on it?
It depends upon the person and the amount of soreness and aching.
But when you talk about pickles and stuff, do you recommend it?
That's one way to pickle instead of vinegar. I prefer that to vinegar for pickling, but it just doesn't taste the same. Yeah.
You don't mention pickling cabbage. You mention pickling cucumbers. Or pickle.
Wait a minute. Let's get around here first. No question back there? Okay. Joe, do you have a question? Okay. Do you have a question?
All answered.
Yes. Do you have a question? Yes. Air sickness, seasickness. What you can do is just, the best way to do it is just get something like a piece of wood and put it under a band. Just hold it like this. For some reason that stops it. I was wearing,
What do you do?
a couple of years ago, I had a Vietnamese girlfriend and we were flying for a vacation, and it was her first time on a plane, and man, she was vomiting as soon as the plane left the field. So I just took both of her wrists and I put my finger across like this on both of her wrists. Instantly the nausea stopped. Instantly, just like that. So there was only a 45-minute flight, so I held her wrist the whole time. And that took care of it. No, I didn't join the Mile High Club.
Is that an extra pressure point? Do you know?
Well, I was on a boat and seasick as hell. A friend of mine had a small boat, and we went out in it, off the coast to go fishing for some swordfish. And I don't do well on the ocean, on small boats. All of that makes me terribly ill. So he had these little wristbands that had a little wooden band across it, and attached on, the nausea stopped like that.
It hits all your acupuncture points as they cross here.
So, and I don't know how it works and why it works, it just works. It's like everything else in my book. I can give you bullshit reasons from science why it works, but it works.
So you don't get two pieces of wood to get all the acupressure points or not?
Pardon?
Does the piece of wood have to be slightly curved to get all the points?
No. In fact, you see, this pretty well sinks in, right at that one spot.
So you're an inch above the wrist, the bottom of the wrist.
Yeah, it's just slightly above the bone here.
Oh, it's just above the bone. So
Yeah.
that's an inch.
Toward the elbow.
Yeah.
How about essential oils?
I think they're very toxic and very dangerous for, optimally. Now, the average person out there is eating very bad oils that are processed at very high temperatures. So, if you're using Young's oils, they're distilled at 270 degrees. That's lower than any other oil. So it's better oil for the person who doesn't get good oils. But it's still not a good oil, because once an oil is distilled, a cell does not have a choice to absorb it or not. It penetrates the cell. So the cell has no option. And it destroys and damages lungs and mucous membranes, all kinds of things. And you see the people who use the people I've seen who use those essential oils a lot are ultra sensitive to everything. Oh, they become very sensitive and irritable. Oh yeah, but they become very irritable people too.
What was the question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
What about essential oils?
Essential.
Essential oils.
Does that include massage oils if we go on the
Absolutely. Yep.
make our own concoction?
Absolutely.
What would you recommend?
Well, you can use the coconut oil from Wilderness Naturals. Wilderness Natural Family. Wilderness Families Natural. WildernessFamilyNaturals.com. And it's called the Filipino fermented coconut oil.
You can get that from me also. I carry it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the one. It took me 6 months to talk that fellow into lowering the temperature to 96 degrees. So he makes it at 96 degrees. So it's never taken over 96.
Then what would you mix that soil with? Mix that with anything, lavender or anything else?
Yeah, you mix it with anything, you're not going to.
Well, anytime you're putting another oil in it, you're putting a manufactured, distilled, and usually solvent-treated oil that has to meet the FDA's regulation for purity.
I want to make it myself and bring it to my system.
Well, the best thing to do is just use the coconut oil. It smells wonderful. It smells like coconut.
But you could put in ginger juice if you wanted to.
Ginger juice you can put in, like I put in the Primal Facial Body Cream.
Yeah, well, you could do that and put it in the oil.
Just put a few drops in the oil.
I'm going to do that.
Oh, I found a new lip gloss treatment.
Right.
What you do is take about 6 ounces of honey, the thicker honeys like the sage, and you put 1 teaspoon to 1 tablespoon of coconut cream in it, so it's slightly creamy. And you rub that on your lips, and it tastes very good, especially after it's set for about a day, and it completely relieves any wrinkling. It helps hydrate the lips, and the so-called dehydration that you normally feel in the lips will disappear for almost 24 hours.
Would that make a good facial?
Well, remember, if you put honey completely over your face, your skin can't breathe. So you can do it in areas, local areas for lines and wrinkles if you want, but not for the whole face. You won't sleep well, you won't feel very happy, you might get irritable.
You might put saliva with this one with the coconut.
You don't need to put saliva with it, but it's helpful to get it around. Yeah.
If somebody was sunburned, would that be a nice tonic for a short
That would
term?
be a very good tonic for it. Okay. Joe, do you have a question? Do you have a question?
I was making another week put it in, open a jar in 4 days. I was doing that for about a month, and then I forgot.
That's a very vinegary, very fermented one, and it'll cause lots of detox. If you want to eat it, go for it.
The part was supposed to open it every 4 days, outside open, with fresh air.
Oh, you're talking about vegetable? I thought you said vegetable juice. Meat. Okay.
Cultured meat.
You let it go for 2 months, you just have to start opening it again.
Every 4 days.
Still use it, you just have to start over.
The other thing was the coconut cream.
Yeah? Which one?
The one that's not, we're not getting any coconut cream.
He wants you to do it.
Oh.
You offer it?
That machine is this. It's a juicer that's this big. And they use it in Thailand and all throughout Asia to make coconut cream. So I bought the thing that I bought the machine that you can take the husk off, the hard shell off of the coconut in 3 seconds. Plus a machine that takes the meat and grates it. You put that into the juicer and you can produce like 20 gallons of coconut cream an hour with that.
Are you volunteering?
I do.
Oh, are you volunteering? Now you're going to Hawaii.
I got it for a particular individual. He already paid me for it. And it's been sitting there for 6 months.
What?
Unused. That's right. James has been sitting on it for 6 months. So I told him if he doesn't get it in action by the time I go back to Thailand, I'm buying another set and I'm going to produce it.
Locally?
Locally.
Southern California.
Absolutely.
So we'll have someone running up and getting it.
Yeah.
You probably won't charge as
Take
much.
the train.
Pardon?
You probably won't charge as much.
Well, it depends upon I'm not going to produce it myself. I'm not going to do the work. I'm going to hire people to do it.
Yeah,
And that means getting a location to do it too. So whatever that costs is what it will be.
So you can sell the little pint jars,
Well, if you want to really produce,
small amount.
yeah, it's better to go for the Green Power Gold machine.
At Whole Foods, they sell these little coconut things, rolling up,
That green coconut.
and does that work?
Same with the immature coconut.
No,
Jelly.
but the immature coconuts will not give you coconut cream. That's just gel and water. It's got to be the thick meat inside, the white, thick meat.
That's brown.
If you have like the whole coconut, and you break it up into what's on the inside.
The thick, mature meat.
Well,
It can be just that shell, of course, just the shell. You know, shelled coconut. The husk can be all off of it, because the husk can be this big over a little nut like that. Sometimes the husk is just small around it. But it's the nut inside with that hard shell around it. And the meat inside has to be mature.
the white kind, the
White,
shell.
hard.
Yeah, the white shell is not hard.
White, not the white shell.
That's the fiber. It's still in the fiber. That's not a shell.
When I'm at Whole Foods, they have it already cut. It's like a cylinder, and the top is kind of...
No, those you don't want.
Those are young coconuts. Those aren't mature coconuts.
So how big? They're about this big. So
You can
there
still
was
eat
the
that.
meat that was around it that I wanted, not...
No.
You don't want anything
That's
without
the
that.
husk that you see around it. Inside, when you break it open, the white, thick, that is the meat. There's some that are jelly, which is the ones you're talking about.
I just want to look at
Yeah,
it.
go for the ones that are brown.
Jelly is okay to eat, but what he's talking about is this thick, tougher meat that often is flakes and
mature.
made, coconut flakes or whatever is made from it. It's thick and it's tough to chew. That is what we're making the coconut cream from.
And it's completely, oval. It's not that coned edge. That's all young coconut.
Has anybody found any good coconuts? All the ones I cracked are all
Well, with the trick there is you go to a Spanish community area. They buy them frequently, but when you're in a white bread area, you're never going to get a good coconut because they just don't eat enough of them.
They've been on the shelf for longer.
They've been over there on the shelf a long time.
Always find two.
I always get three. I want two to do. I don't just one.
No, you don't. You just return them. They'll take them back. I return everything. I don't keep anything. I return everything. They can't keep them. And it's not easy to crack them. Ryan showed me in the islands.
If I get a bad coconut, it goes back to the store.
Okay.
Absolutely.
How do you cut it on a stone?
No, we did that flavor. Better do what she does. She throws them up in the air and smashes mine around.
No, what I do is I put them in an old towel. I put them in an old towel and take a hammer, and then I take a wide screwdriver. With all the screwdrivers you have a really good one. Get in there and just pop the meat up, and I do that.
Yeah, but
You tap it all the way around. Tap it enough
Yeah.
times all the way around.
I don't have any.
Often when you finally crack it
It
open,
tells you how to do
one
that
big
in both
piece
books.
Yeah,
comes out
I didn't tell
easily.
you how to do it, but I found a good way of quickly cutting the flesh into eight-foot strips. I've got a wooden board, a really hard board, and it's rated nice, and so I take several bits and I just slice it thinly all together, then another bunch of three and slice them thinly. And that's how I get the thin 1/8 of an inch bits so you don't break the crack the way you start. And that works really quick.
Yeah, but how do you
But
knock them out?
even now, I found out an even better way.
What's that?
You take the oyster knife, like I say, and pull out the coconut. Then you just chop it into large chunks, and you put it in a food processor like a Cuisinart, and you grate it. Put it into grating. But before you do that, once you take your pieces, your chunks, you put them in a jar, like a quart jar or larger half-gallon or gallon jars. You fill your sink with hot water. You put it in there. You put a little water in there, and you get the pieces of meat wet. And then you let it sit into this, there's no water in the, you've got no level of water in the jar. You've just got your wet coconut in an empty jar floating in this warmth. It heats the coconut. You get almost a third more coconut cream. I had 3 little coconuts this big, and I got 4 8-ounce jars of the coconut cream by doing that, by getting it warm.
They're wet on the inside, but you're putting it in warm jars.
4 8-ounce jars from 3 little bitty coconuts.
Explain that again one more time.
Yeah.
Okay, you take the coconut. I don't drink the milk anymore, the water in it anymore, because it causes bloating.
Oh, okay.
When I was wondering why all these Asians don't drink this coconut water. They just break it and throw it away.
Yeah.
And I was having 4 of those a day, and I started getting, after a month, I started getting ankle and feet swelling and leg swelling. And that's why they don't, because it causes swelling.
But you used to tell me to drink the coconut.
Yeah, but you were just drinking 1 a day.
A lot of electrolytes and stuff.
But there wasn't much. But it takes a lot more time to drain the water out. It takes a lot of time in the process of making coconut cream.
Yeah.
So what I do is now I just skip that, and I just go out there and break the I take it on a big rock out in my backyard, slam it on there and break it into pieces, then take my curved end oyster knife, prise it very quickly out of the coconut shell, then I slice it into chunks. No chunks bigger than that. Okay? That square. Of course, it's that thick. Then I put those into a gallon jar. If I'm doing a lot of, if I'm doing just a few of them, I'll put it in a quart jar. But if I'm doing a lot of them and I want to make it for weeks at a time, like 5 or 6 weeks, I may be doing 10 coconuts. So I'll put 2 gallon jars of this coconut meat. I let it sit in the sink full of hot water. Not hot enough to burn my hand, but hot enough that it takes about 15 minutes to heat that coconut. And I'll go do something else during that time.
What's the temperature of the water?
Probably 105, 106, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And then I come back and everything's warm inside. The heat has caused all of that oil and the meat to become warm and soft. Yeah, I get a little wet before I put it in the jar. I forgot to say that. Yes. I wet it with my Gerolsteiner, because I don't buy any other.
With the coconut water?
Pardon? Yeah, you could wet it with the coconut water, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
How much? A tablespoon for coconut?
Tablespoon of what?
Water.
Well, I have a bowl there, and I just dip it all in there and put it in the jar.
Tablespoon, teaspoon of water, what?
Now listen to me. I have water in a bowl, and I take the pieces and I dip them in the water and put them into the jar. Okay? Then I immerse it. So then, after the coconut is warm, I put it in the food processor, my Cuisinart, and put it into grated. So it's grated coconut. Then I juice that, and it gets so much more juice. There's no chance of cracking the juicer at all, and there's no strain on it. It moves through faster.
Wow.
Okay.
And I get 1/3 more coconut cream.
Okay.
The metal blade?
Yeah, well, it's the blade. Yeah, the metal blade.
Joe had told me to get I warmed my juicer. I take my juicer and run it into hot water, the parts, and put them together, and I got twice as much.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that much.
Yeah.
I didn't get this much without doing anything.
Screw the screw on the end of the cooling tower.
I screw it all the way. But the knobs on the sides, just finger tight.
No, not those. You got one on the end.
All the way.
Or coconut cream?
Coconut cream all the way.
I regularly break the threads on that part. Can you check? I've broken I've had to have 5 parts to